Hi, I'm just wanting to throw cards on why Noah Presgrove was without his clothing when they found his body. Like I said, odd. Apparently, the shorts were nearby, from what I understand, um, where he was found, and it was kind of an unusual way that they were placed or something. Again, there was a sense of not quite flowing. So I'm going to throw cards real quick here with my albino Rider-Waite tarot deck. All right, let's see what we can get. You know, there are some days when I try and read and it's as clear as mud. And then there's other days that it's just, today I'm not so sure. I'm kind of foggy. That can be good or maybe not so much sometimes, but sometimes it can work for you. And again, forgive me for the wound vac raspberries. So let's just see, why was, I'm picturing and that kind of trying to dial into Noah's energy. Why was he found without his clothing? Was someone trying to humiliate him, or was this as a result of moving his body, let's say? Sometimes clothing can snag or come off when people move or drag a body. So let's see. Why were his shorts, why were the one bit of stitch of clothing that he was seen wearing, why were those off when he was found? What made them come off? All right, that's what we get. I'm getting a card that deals with great skill, or something that's a person that has done over and over again, and they're very good at it. They're very adept. It's a card of somebody that's adept in some way with a skill. And there is a manipulation with the magician. The magician is, again, I want to point out, so that you know what, if you get a deck yourself, I highly recommend to you read your own cards and empower yourself. The magician is accessing various tools in his toolbox, or her toolbox, and their toolbox. And they are trying to craft a story. They are trying, sometimes this can be a very creative, wonderful card, but it can also be someone using their skills to manipulate and change something for their own benefit. So we have what I feel is a manipulative, very skilled effort on someone's part with regard to why his clothing is not on. There's some perhaps tactic here. Perhaps they're trying to throw a red herring, or it could be that something, again, it could be the manipulation of trying to make it look like he got the injuries, I think, other than the way that he did. It just occurred to me, the fact that he's lying out there, in the road, all these things just don't add up. I just am not convinced at all that somebody didn't put him there and bring him there, because I sense someone is deliberately trying to set up a scene so it points away from perhaps where it really happened, or what really took place. They're trying to cover up there's an active cover-up, and it's pretty sharp. There's some pretty skilled players behind it. Again, this could also be people who have an employment, a source of employment that has a great deal of influence or pull. It could also be about investigation if somebody is not following through. But to me, we're looking at more, I feel like, of the person responsible or persons placing him and staging him on that road. I don't believe that the road was at all the place where he was injured. I wonder if it was outdoors, it might be very hard then to find, unless they luminoled that family home. Again, pardon the wound vac. I'm getting pictures, and sometimes there's a slight delay because I'll get like a hit. But what I saw was, in my mind's eye, was that, and it makes sense with the evidence, that's not the original starting point. And in fact, I don't know how far away it was. I don't imagine it was probably too far, but one never knows. Whatever the case may be, the clothing may have come off as a result of the narrative that someone's trying to point the other way, that this happened to him on the road. And I think the reason was laying on the road was that's what the suggestion ultimately was by those responsible. It's what they wanted, I think, people to believe, that maybe folks would look at his injuries and think that he had been hit or something. And they didn't account for, I think, because people at that house, real adults included, I think, were under the influence. I get there's a corrupt abuse of power, and I feel like people are using their connections and things like that, alleged for entertainment purposes only. And yeah, it's shady stuff. Next two cards it's like a plan. But there's also the element of looking. I feel like it's further investigation, to be honest, with this active but foresight, card of foresight as well, with the two, where you're looking into the future, you're looking for opportunity to get busy, to start something, further. You're looking at opportunity. So it might have also been a message here of it was an opportunistic set of circumstances which they came off when the person was trying to make it look other than them being responsible. And here we have a card of you being held to account and the need to grow and change and continue to evolve as a human being and as a spirit being, as that's what we are first and foremost. But the Judgment card is also about greater awareness and having a conscience when you need to own up to things or hold to someone to account, to do it. This is the card of Judgment. And the trumpet is, when you see that on a card, that is to draw your attention to it's an exclamation point. I also feel like this card is connected to his death, and the you need to be moral, about it. Hold on just a second. Thanks. My allergies are playing me up. So, with judgment, it is also the call to atonement, uh, to account for how you have used your opportunities in life. How have you treated other people? How have you, again, chose to act? It all adds up to your life and what you put out in the world. So when you see the judgment card, it's really asking you, what have you put out in the world? How have you responded to the call that to honor love and the higher good, if you will? It's a personal account. And this is a card of somebody that is looking, who is an opportunist, that is very dominant personality, that is looking for an opportunity. And this, I think, is holding somebody to account, somebody that's very ambitious. And looks to take action. It does. There's manipulation going on with this event, of his unfortunate passing. So the message that I'm getting is those behind it, the person, especially, it's really kind of, I feel like there's one main person for the violence upon him, that initiated it. I'm not so sure that they didn't know that they were, at some point, that they were injuring him or being rough with him. But you can see that night they were doing weird things, like Noah was saying, going up to other people and saying, hit me. Like, I remember some people back in the day. I mean, I'm 56, so I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. But I remember some people doing that, where they get so smashed they'd say things like that, like, oh, go ahead, like they're so tough they can take it, but it's really they're so numb they can't feel it. And it's not a good sign, because just because they can't feel it doesn't mean they aren't being injured or sustaining injury. So it's possible that kind of a shenanigan was going on again, only tempers flared. I always get, though, that there's a feeling of some jealousy going on, and that there is a couple and that keeps popping up. And I feel that that's the reason that there was some kind of assault or accident. Just seeing if I was going to get anything more, because I was starting to kind of get more, but I want to pull some more cards about the underpants. Okay, we're getting the message again. Oh, I feel like he wasn't well. Here is the Five of Pentacles in decline and physically not doing well. And there's being like a child, maybe too trusting, is what I get. This card, the Page of Cups, keeps coming up, and so does the like a child, the fool, taking risks. There's a real lack of pardon the wound vac, of a sense of these young people being able to appreciate really being able to appreciate the outcome of what they've done, the result. Partially because, first and foremost, being so numb because they were under the influence to do something like that to begin with, and then because of their youth. And I think the same for Noah could be said. We have him, I think, with his health literally declining, left outside. I think he still could have had a bit of life in him. There's still something to me that says there was maybe a point where if somebody had been paying attention, they could have got him, they should have called for help or something. There's a bit of a feeling there too. This is the second time I'm kind of getting that, a sense of him being vulnerable, childlike, and somebody also being really immature, doing themselves no favors, and they're just not thinking properly. It could also be that it was an immature choice to try and make him look more like he had, again, found his death on the pavement rather than somewhere else. Again, I really feel like him being found on the pavement was a staged misdirection with the magician and the skilled effort. And it may have been something that they worked on, did over and over again. I don't know. But somebody was definitely staging. I keep getting that vibe. Okay. Well, there's going to be clarity where a King of Wands is concerned with regard to him being without his clothing. Maybe I need to reread the coroner's report, but this could be somebody that either gets exposed for coming up with the idea, if this was somebody that participated in him being found there, they moved him or something. I think he was moved there. I think it's pretty obvious. There's not a great deal of mess that you should find had the scuffle and the injuries had taken place there on the pavement. I definitely feel he was moved. So this could be clarity that comes through a professional, or it could be about someone that might be responsible for him being found that way. Some action. There's a focus. This is also, to me, this is Noah potentially too. He's come up with this card before. This card is usually like a gift that's both spiritual and has a material nature, but there's a spiritual element with the cloud, with all those aces, that is like infused into this seed. What is this? It could be a detail that's very telling or important with him and his person. that could have been given money or that clothing. There's a focus on clothing for some reason. Because I'm asking about the shorts, and I feel like when I'm looking at both the knight and the hand, I feel like I'm looking at manifestation, and because I'm inquiring about clothing, I feel like it's a tangible object. He may have been wearing someone else's extra clothing. I know that with the shoes, there's a story. In being inebriated, I think he may have lost one of his shoes or sandals. I don't know if he was wearing like a flip-flop. I don't know. And I know they've gone over, there's a hey dude type of, I don't know if it's a slip-on or what, but anyway, he ended up with being able to take one of his friend's shoes along with the one shoe that he had and go around like that. There's kind of a feeling that there's a focus on, needs to be with him, definitely on how he was found. There's something very telling about these things and about the clothing and the way the clothing was presented. That's what I really get with these two here. Presented, offered. There's really deliberate care and focus and effort. Whereas if this was just something terrible that unfortunately he was hit and they came off in an accident, the cards would look very different. These are showing that there is manipulation with him being found that way, and that there is indeed someone's real focus to attention and detail, maybe a little too much. It's almost too neat that it looks staged. Doesn't look, because there is somebody that's really focused on getting this right, laying things out. It feels like they're helping, and it could be an older individual with the hermit. Someone that gives them advice, gives them help. So that doesn't look like anything like an accident to me, like he's drunk, he wanders off and gets struck by a car. No, no, no. Let me ask if this case will ever go back to an active status or have its status changed. Because right now they're not considering it criminal. So will Noah's case ever become hot again, so to speak? Will it ever become active again and change? Will its status change? Will it become active and change from the status that it's currently in, which is undeclared? Well, it's declared that it's uncertain. Okay, I'm getting people studying this case. People are, I think, quietly in their own time brushing up because it's just off, it's not right. Pardon the wound vac. And I'm slipping. What card is coming along with that? Well, we get the home again, and we're getting people looking at, I think, the house, the family, the celebration, the festivity of the Labor Day weekend, I think that it was, and the party that went on. So the fact that it could, I think it's actively, frankly, being looked at by the novice and the professional on their off time potentially alike because of the details that just don't match up, right? That looks so suspicious. So there's very close attention and study being paid to this case. And I feel like even within its home environment there of Oklahoma, people are intrigued, it feels like to me, and they want to know more about the party. We get the Six of Swords and the King of Swords. There could be a man that moves either off the case or helps to bring the case and law enforcement back on the radar. All I know is that it would bring it from its stalled position to active and going into smoother, more transparent, apparent flow. It wouldn't be as choppy and as unbalanced. So I feel like there is potentially in the future either there could be like a departure of a one law person, they might move or retire, I don't know, or because I also do get a lot of cards that are about movement around the people that are looking at this case and those that they're looking at. I think some people would like to move, and they might look to leave the area. Maybe the young person that I think was initially the first person that is responsible for the set of events that occurred and caused the death. But to me, this really could be hopeful. And maybe because I got the star in the first reading, that this makes me feel like this could be a law person taking the case in a better direction. Faster moving. And there is maybe the combined efforts of other specialists, and it could be that someone is going to seek to, I'm sure his family, for sure, but seek, I think, among, advice from professionals about what they can do. There's a definite fast pace. It's quick. It's rolling out with that energy of the Knight of Swords. So it feels legal, it feels like there's activity. And not just by one person. It's like a small group looking at it. Aha, that's very interesting. Temperance and the Two of Swords. Well, right now it's blocked, but I think it could get shifted with the Temperance card and corrected. And there would be movement. In fact, there would be a combination of different things going on. Just like this card kind of shows various tradespersons that have different skills working together on a common effort. There's that same vibe as far as this investigation goes, that it's going to go from being stalled with the Two of Swords to working out, something being actually worked out. And I think they're going to be able to bring the results. But it's going to take time. There's a lot of There's a lot of rumors and delusion, and I think the fact that people were under the influence, there's a lack of clarity. There's outright deliberate, I think, confusion. And a great deal of that keeps going back. Like, people were really, I think, a lot more under the influence than they may have realized. I keep getting a really strong sense of, whoa, this is excess, where substance or drink, is concerned at the very least. And there probably here and there are people doing other things to boot. But there is, I feel like, the building here with the Seven of Pentacles of a plan. Now, interestingly enough, we have 2 sevens. So we're need to look at what 7 is again. It's a repeat of a sacred number, an angel number. And in this case, it is about evaluation. It's a pause and an evaluation, a look at your work and tending it, paying attention and seeing which way, what you need to do in order to make it to your goal, your end goal. What's led you, how much far you have to go. You're taking stock of it, of the situation. And there's patience involved and required. So I think that it builds more gradually than people might like, because there's such a degree of confusion. But I do think it gets switched back on and people start to look at it again. And I don't think it's all novice. There's definitely going to be a dark side that comes up, and somebody that plays too rough. Here we have the bully, the person that cannot stand not to win, that doesn't know when to stop, that will do so until they draw blood. They go too far to make their point. There's a darkness. They might have been blacked out themselves and not even been fully aware. This is also covering it up, covering up a bully's work. You notice that this person is completely armed. They have all these swords. They have all these weapons. They're not just left with their hands like these 2 people here. So they have an advantage. And whoever struck Noah had the advantage as well. I don't think it was a quote-unquote fair exchange. I think he made someone angry by flirting, or the fact that maybe they thought their girlfriend was flirting with him. I don't know. There's something like that was rubbing this somebody wrong. And it could just be that maybe there was more than one guy that was annoyed with Noah getting all that attention on some level, and with their girlfriends or whatever. But one in particular seems to really have an axe to grind. I hope they didn't use something like that, because some thing like that, or maybe the possibility of a, like I've said, maybe a bat, golf clubs, some kind of thing that you could thwack someone with. I really feel it could even be a hell. It could even be a flashlight, one of those long, heavy ones, or, somebody weaponized something. And they were armed and he was not, and he was surprised and taken off guard by how far they were going. I also have gotten cards that show the 10 of Swords that keeps popping up and the 10 of Wands shows there's overkill. And he was injured in more than one way, not just the head, his ribs and other stuff, and his face. So I do think somebody, let me just see, was someone jealous of Noah and attacked him? Did they attack him out of jealousy? Was Noah attacked out of jealousy? See what we get. Get the Empress, a woman, or the feminine energy. Can be someone's mother. Oh my God, and the devil. There's an attraction or temptation or something that, now I did hear that he had said someone's mother was good looking or whatever, but I don't know how much to go with that. Maybe he made a comment that regardless, that somebody didn't appreciate about their lady, paying her attention, or her paying. There's a chemistry, there's a charge there, and there's also, though, being under the influence again, and this time not playing fair, not being forthright, up to no good, and people abusing whatever makes them powerful, whatever way they can. It's by deceit. Because we've got the father of lies here, and people that are loosely chained, but because of things the way drink and the excess initially makes them feel, they voluntarily participate in it. So I'm really getting a sense of that energy of all the shenanigans going on, and I think people feeling because their inhibitions are down, and so I think there's some flirting going on. There's some sexual energy that's not being held back as much as it should. And I feel like that sense of attraction, or the energy that the girls washing him in the shower. I mean, I know that was just being kind of playful, but there's a sexually charged element to it as well. I mean, he could have just been, somebody could just handed him a bar of soap, said, here you go, you wash yourself. You're not a little boy. But again, we go back to an issue with the feminine and sexual, I think, attraction. But the devil's always a maladaptive choice in how you choose to respond or what you do. It's going to get you in trouble. And by saying this, I am not saying that Noah deserved anything like being attacked, like he was found, because I believe he was attacked. I don't believe that this was an accident entirely by like a car. That's what I mean. On the road, striking him. Nope. Somebody put him there and is covering something up. And I think what kicked it off is people being drunk, sexually charged kind of energy going on, and people getting jealous and lashing out, inappropriate, maladaptive behavior, like I said, with the devil. And since the drink is on board, that lowers their inhibition, whereas if they were sober, they wouldn't have done these things. That's what I think. We have someone wanting to walk away, and the world, and there's wanting it to end. So I think something went sideways. I think it went on too far, too long. And I think this was probably Noah wanting it to end and trying to leave, trying to get away to make it stop. Could also be those that are responsible. I've gotten this before, want to leave the area. I think maybe by way of going to school or going to work outside of the town or the area, the rural area that it was held in. It's like they just want to put distance between them and that area of Oklahoma. They want to focus on earning money and getting some kind of skilled work or employment where they have a cushy lifestyle. There's more concern with that, and that's part of the corruption and the one of the wealth card here, the focus also on because the Empress isn't only just the mother, the wife, the woman, but abundance itself. And when I see cards where people are very focused on, let's say, earning a nice income and living in a nice house and having a nice lifestyle and going to good schools and so on and so forth, that's the vibe I'm getting here. And there's a corrupted means to keep this. They don't want to lose that opportunity. All right. So I feel that the answer about the pants, the shorts not being on, someone was trying too hard to make it look like it was a road accident instead of some kind of assault, whether it was intended to cause death or not. That he didn't strike himself in the head. Somebody accidentally or intentionally came after him. And I think they lost it. And they could have been blacking out. Because I keep getting a message of the amount, or there's like blackout level. This is like heavy duty, lots of excessive drinking. It's really giving me that fog with the 7 of Cups showing up and the devil and all of that. So you've got impaired thinking and impaired behavior that triggers a response that is disastrous. And I do see the case, I think, changing hand, and later down the road, we have people looking at it again. So I'll just leave that there. We'll see how it goes. If you appreciate readings like this, please give me a thumbs up. I've given you 2 deep dives now on Noah's case. And I'll be looking at Princess Kate next. So thank you so much. And thank you for subscribing. Bye.